Round Britain Quiz with Kirsty Lang.
Hello and welcome to Round Britain Quiz, where it's not enough just to know things, you also have to work out what they've got to do with other things. If you've never heard the programme before, you'll see what I mean in a few minutes. If you're a regular listener, you'll be delighted to hear that our teams today are some of the nicest and cleverest people in the country. Stephen Maddock and Frankie Franco of the Midlands, and Freya McClements and Paddy Duffy of Northern Ireland. They will be entering into cerebral combat in no time. But before they do, let me give you the solution to the question I left unanswered last week. I asked if an award-winning photojournalist and a British comedian known for Big Train and Blue Jam met a man who sat on the woolsack in the Napoleonic era, what game would they play? I think this was quite a tough one, but the game we had in mind is the video game Elden Ring, because the people mentioned are all called Elden, although spelt slightly differently. The award-winning photojournalist is Dan Elden, who died tragically in Mogadishu in the 90s. The comedian is the multi-talented Kevin Elden, and the British Lord Chancellor for many years in the very early 19th century was Lord Eldon. So well done indeed if you solved those clues. And there are more details on our website if you need it. Now, the teams have had their questions just handed to them now on paper while I've been talking, so at least they can see them written down. You, if you're listening at home or in the car or whatever, actually, no, don't do this in the car, you can see them on our webpage if you'd like to play along. So let me remind you that a perfect score in Round Britain Quiz is 24, with each team getting 4 6-point questions. The more complete and fluent their answers, without any help from me, the more points they'll get. I'll be giving clues, but they will come at a cost. And the bigger the clue, the bigger the cost. So, good luck to everyone. Stephen and Frankie, here's the easiest question that you will get today, and it is, would you like to start?
Please.
Why might going on location help you towards an order of chivalry, a reward for extreme sycophancy, and a public body that caused a fuss for truss? I'll just repeat that. Why might going on location help you towards an order of chivalry, a reward for extreme sycophancy, and a public body that caused a fuss for truss?
Well, back at the start of my career when I worked as a lowly production assistant in BBC Radio 3, if you ever wanted to make a recording anywhere other than in a BBC studio, you had to take your life in your hands and ring the terrifying people who controlled the OB department, OB standing for outside broadcasts, and they would tell you whether or not it was possible to have a truck, some engineers, some cables, some microphones and whatever on the day in question, to which the answer was often no. But OB as outside broadcasts, I think, will help us here going on location.
So the Order of Chivalry we're talking about here, we think, is the OBE, so the Officer of the Order of the British Empire.
And the reward for extreme sycophancy, famously awarded from time to time in Private Eye, is known as the Order of the Brown Nose, for reasons that I will not explain on a polite radio programme, but that is OBN.
And the public body, we think, is the OBR, so the Office for Budget Responsibility, which I believe was set up by George Osborne when he was Chancellor, sort of effectively as a sort of rod for his own back to keep the government accounts in order. And they were not too happy about Liz Truss's economic plans.
Yes,
so.
Truss's and Kwasi Kwarteng's mini budget. Well, that is absolutely correct. And that's 6 out of 6. Well done to the Midlands. What a cracking start. Now, Freya and Paddy, your first question today is another suggestion from Jonathan Perry, who listens to RBQ in Tokyo. Which island country would you reach by lining up the following? A description of Don Draper's advertising men, a military commander in the Ottoman Empire, and the antagonist in The Lion King. What island country would you reach by lining up the following? A description of Don Draper's advertising men, a military commander in the Ottoman Empire, and the antagonist in The Lion King?
Well, it's not just Don Draper that makes me think of advertising here. There was an ad in the 90s where a Scottish comedian, I think it was, said the immortal phrase, "No man is an island unless his name is Madagascar." And so from there we move to Don Draper's advertising men are madmen.
Mm-hmm. And then to flip on to the end, the antagonist in The Lion King, the baddie, is famously Scar. And the bit in the middle, the military commander in the Ottoman Empire, is Aga, as in the Aga Khan, for example. So, yeah, Madagascar.
That is correct on all counts. Another cracking start for Northern Ireland as well. 6 out of 6. You guys are on fire. Back to the Midlands. It is time, Frankie and Stephen, to give you some music to listen to. And this idea has come from Malcolm Riven in London. And while you listen, I want you to think about his question. Why might a programme of music by these composers be a big draw? Well, you heard 4 pieces of music there, and I'll just remind you of the question, why might a programme of music by these composers be a big draw? Stephen and Frankie.
So obviously my concert organiser's hat says that if you want to put on a programme of all of those music, you need 4 different ensembles, so that's tremendously expensive. But let's start with what the music was. So the first piece sounded like it ought to be the Abbess Hildegard of Bingen. One of her many pieces that begins in exactly that way, extraordinary sort of 12th century philosopher, poet, abbess, composer and migraine sufferer, Hildegard of Bingen.
Known as Sybil of the Rhine, and you are absolutely correct, yeah.
The second piece we think is La Follia by Arcangelo Corelli. Oh,
okay.
No.
We'll come back to that because there's clearly a connection here that we're not seeing at the moment. The third piece was the second movement of the Symphonie Fantastique by Berlioz, Hector Berlioz, called A Ball.
Correct.
And the last piece could have been anything, if I'm absolutely honest. I mean, it sounded like it might have been Harrison Birtwistle.
You're right.
Okay. Obviously, I recognised it, clearly. Okay, so Harrison...
So are we thinking big draw here is something to do with the lottery? We have a ball.
A big draw is intended as a pun, if that helps.
Something to do with artists? Painters, drawers? That kind of area. Okay. Hildegard. Well, they all begin with B, if you accept Hildegard of Bingen, Bingen being her surname. Is that relevant?
Sure about this one.
That is relevant.
Okay.
And it's not just B, actually. If you...
B,
Oh, it's
BI.
HB, Hector Berlioz, Hildegard of Bingen.
which is pencils.
HB pencils. Drawing.
Correct.
There we go.
Right.
So let's come back to the second piece.
So just
then.
back to the second,
Okay.
and we're thinking sort of Austrian Baroque here.
Okay. Heinrich Bieber.
Absolutely. So you're quite right. The composer's shared initials HB might suggest they'd be a big draw in the sense that they'd use an HB pencil. You correctly identified Hildegard of Bingen, Heinrich Bieber, with little help from me, Hector Berlioz and Sir Harrison Birtwistle. And that was Earth Dances, by the way, that we heard. So I think probably 5 out of 6, because I had to give you a little bit of help. But well done. That was a tricky one. Northern Ireland, Paddy and Freya. Why, by appearing to double them, might you turn a provider of grapes into an 80s singer and drag queen, Beethoven's choral finale into a current conductor, a commercial vehicle into a bed, and a Freudian concept into the owner of the hand of God. Why, by appearing to double them, might you turn a provider of grapes into an 80s singer and drag queen, Beethoven's choral finale into a current conductor, a commercial vehicle into a bed, and a Freudian concept into the owner of the hand of God?
So we started this one in the middle. Why not? With the commercial vehicle that you turn into a bed. So if you have a van being the commercial vehicle and you add DI, you get divan, as in a divan bed. So this is the doubling. D is as in two, as to double something.
Yeah, we've died many times in this show before. Thankfully, it's actually coming in useful this time. So we'll start then. We'll go on to the next one. The Freudian concept is the concept of the ego. And the owner of the hand of God then is Diego, or Diego, as he liked to style it. Then going back
Maradona.
to the
Diego
start,
Maradona.
Diego
Maradona.
Maradona. Then the provider of the grapes, that's the vine, and then the 80s singer and drag queen and much favoured performer of John Waters, I believe, is Divine. So we've got Vine, Divine. And then we have the choral finale into a current conductor. Now, I feel like the choral finale would be the Ode to Joy from the Ninth Symphony.
You're right.
And in the back of my mind, I felt like I have seen the name D-Joy as the name of a conductor before.
Applying the same principle.
Oh, sorry, current conductor is diode, isn't it? It's a diode.
Yes, it's a cryptic phrase.
It's a diode.
Absolutely right. Yeah, you got
So
there
who's
as
the joy then?
Got
Where
there in the end, yeah.
I saw them playing the King Tut's Wawa.
No, you got that absolutely right. By adding the prefix di or d, which means two in Latin, you would get the vine, a provider of grapes, and then you get divine, the singer, actor, and drag artist who appeared in several films by the director John Waters. Ode to Joy with DI in front becomes a diode, which is a component in an electrical circuit. Van becomes divan, and ego becomes Diego Maradona, who controversially handled the ball when scoring against England in the 1986 World Cup. So I think that is 6 out of 6 Northern Ireland. Like, I can't actually take away a point for Paddy correcting himself, although I did have to think about that for a moment. Okay, Frankie and Stephen, your next question is from the Round Britain quiz listener Carl Sabat. Explain why these pairings might lead to a good contest. A Midlands town and a pheasant, an orthodontic device and the sap of an oriental tree, and an insect and a source of heat and light. Explain why these pairings might lead to a good contest. A Midlands town and a pheasant, an orthodontic device and the sap of an oriental tree, and an insect and a source of heat and light.
Okay, so we're going to skip ahead to the orthodontic device first, which we think might be a brace. No? Okay.
A bridge?
A bridge.
Bridge,
okay.
bridge and something.
Right. Okay.
Sap of an oriental tree?
Nothing is coming to mind. I have to say,
Oriental
trying to think of a
trees,
combination.
ginkgo, willow.
Trying to think how we could pair a bridge and
Something that we
something.
kind of use in everyday life all over the place. It's
Not
very useful sap.
Useful.
Palm oil or something. That's not a tree.
Okay, what about let's just try the third one, perhaps.
I mean, a source of heat and light might be the sun or a
Or
star. Okay.
Smaller
Fire?
than that.
Smaller.
More
Fire?
prosaic
Fire?
and smaller.
Fire.
Fire? A match?
A bulb.
Yes.
A match?
A match.
Oh, a match is a good contest. So is that?
So
Are we on the right lines there? That a
so
match
yes,
is a contest?
that's quite helpful actually.
Okay.
Okay. Something
So
a
the-
match.
So the
Set and,
insect.
it's not set and match. No, there's not an insect called a set.
I think maybe the middle one is the way into this. what you're looking for is best known in the context of bridge.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Yes, it is bridge.
Oh, bridge. Yeah. Okay. The card game bridge.
So you've got the bridge, an orthodontic device, and then you're looking at something that is made out of the sap of a tree somewhere in Southeast
Rubber.
Asia. Yeah.
Okay, so you have a rubber in a bridge.
Okay.
A game is
A
called
bridge rubber.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And
so
this will
that's the
help you
context,
now
right.
into the Midlands town.
Rugby.
Yeah.
A
And
rugby game.
and
Correct.
Pheasant's game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then finally, the insect and a source of heat and light. You've got match. You're just looking for the insect now.
A bee, wasp, ant, butterfly. That's going to be the name of a game or sport, I guess. So it's a something match.
Oh, okay. Cricket.
Oh, dear.
You're absolutely right. That was a very tricky one. So we asked you, explain why these pairings might lead to a good contest. A Midlands town and a pheasant is a rugby game. An orthodontic device and the sap of an oriental tree is a bridge rubber. And an insect and a source of heat and light is a cricket match. I'm afraid I think it's a 2 because I did have to give you an awful lot of help. So 2 out of 6. Sorry, guys. Okay, lots of whispering from Northern Ireland. Okay, Freya and Paddy. Listener David Midlane suggests that we might like to consider the following musical extracts and the question, who are these and what do they share? And furrowed brows there. Okay, so we heard 3 bits of music, and the question you need to answer, what are these pieces of music? Who are they? What do they share?
We think we have a wee into this question at least. We'll start at the end. That was Shout Out to My Ex by Little Mix.
Correct.
The song before that was by an artist that I feel has really should have done more. She deserved more. She was really terrific. The song was called New in Town, and she was called Little Boots. Was her
Absolutely right.
was her name. And then the final person. This is a bit more tricky. It sounded sort of jazzy piano, sort of Boz Scaggsy kind of stuff. I'm trying to go through. I mean, it wasn't Little Stephen, was it?
No, I can give you a little...
Little something.
Little
we're
something,
guessing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That might fit inside the second.
Little boots, little feet.
Socks.
It's indeed. It is indeed Little Feet, which was formed in Los Angeles in the late 1960s by Lowell George. It's known for its sort of rootsy, gimmick-free, down-home American rock music, and had its greatest period of success in the early mid-70s. So there we go. So you got to the answer was Little for all 3 of those, and we had Little Feet, Little Boots, and Little Mix, and I think that's a 5 out of 6 for Northern Ireland. Well done. Midlands, your last question today is another listener idea, and it's from one of our most reliable contributors, Ivan Wetton, who lives near Carlisle. Why might the result be sweet if Friedland's nom de plume, Damon's recurring hero, and a seasonal stream all turned up in the same French town? Why might the result be sweet if Friedland's nom de plume, Damon's recurring hero, and a seasonal stream all turned up in the same French town?
Damon's recurring hero, jumping right to the middle of the question, we think is Matt Damon, who starred in a series of films as Jason Bourne. So the Bourne Identity, the Bourne Supremacy, the Bourne Ultimatum, and then another one inexplicably called Jason Bourne because they'd run out of sort of important sounding titles.
You are absolutely right.
So Bourne, we think, will help.
It will help a lot.
So moving ahead to the end now, we think the French town referred to here is the generic ville, which is the French word for a town. So we think the sweetness here might come from Bourneville. Bourneville being the model village set up by George Cadbury in Birmingham in the 19th century on the River Bourne.
Absolutely right. And also the location of the visitor attraction Cadbury World.
Yes, of
Indeed.
course, yes.
So what about the other elements? Friedland's nom de plume?
Well, we think this might be Jonathan Friedland, the journalist who writes novels, under the name something Bourne.
It's something Bourne, Mr. Bourne. And the seasonal stream, we think, is also a Bourne. That's a name there for stream.
So they're all Bournes.
So they're all Bournes. So we add them to the ville from the French town, we get Bourneville.
Absolutely correct. Before I give you the answer, any other thoughts on Jonathan Friedland's nom de plume? Jonathan Friedland, of course, being the Guardian columnist and presenter of BBC Radio 4's The Long View, who took very successfully to writing thrillers under the name...
Is it Jack?
It is one syllable.
John?
I think I'm going to have to give it to you.
James.
It's Sam.
Sam Bourne.
But they're all Bournes. I'm almost tempted to give you 5.5, but we can't. I think it's going to have to be 5 out of 6, but well done. We could have also given you Jonathan Coe's 2022 novel, also called Bourneville. Final question to Northern Ireland, and it is also a listener's idea, and this is from Barry Etheridge in Honiton in Devon. Why might it take you ages to summon a policeman, make a call to almost anyone else, hitch a ride in a 1980s sports car, or enjoy a relaxing soak? Why might it take you ages to summon a policeman, make a call to almost anyone else, hitch a ride in an 80s sports car, or enjoy a relaxing soak?
Okay, now, so bear with us here. We think we have an idea for an answer that maybe Barry didn't come up with. Because a policeman is a peeler, a general call is an appeal. 80 sports car, a peel is quite small to be considered a sports car, and in a relaxing soak would be a nice exfoliating peel. So 5 points, I think. We can adjourn now, can't we?
6, clearly.
So we've, as you can see, we've been round the houses with this one. Now, hitch a ride in a 1980 sports car. Is that a DeLorean that we're looking for? So this is the ages. Does that refer to Back to the Future?
It does.
Right.
It was a DeLorean car. Was the time machine in Back to the Future, in which Marty McFly travels back to the 1950s.
Oh, hold on. So this is all about time travel. So summoning a policeman, you would go to the police box, and you might find that it's bigger on the inside because it's the Doctor's TARDIS. And then, so all the other places they're also all methods of time travel in some way. I wish we could go back about 15 minutes with all this information and I'd sort of maybe figure this out.
So
we've got 2.
Make a call to almost anyone else?
Other ways.
So these are other
time.
popular culture methods of time travel. So is this?
Did you send out a radio signal? No, I'm thinking of
Far more sort of old technology, really.
old technology than that.
I said, somebody teleport by telegram.
Is it Jules Verne? Is it Jules Verne? No.
Well, let's have a look at the relaxing soak. Is there some?
Yes. So there's a film set in a ski resort.
A film set in a ski resort
that involves time travel.
Is it? Not Hot Tub Time Machine, surely. Is it Hot Tub Time Machine? Well,
I can't believe you've seen that.
God for your knowledge.
Yes, well, I was thinking surely the genteel listeners of Radio 4 wouldn't be familiar with Hot Tub Time Machine.
We had a debate actually about whether you might have seen it, and funnily enough, Paddy, we thought you would probably write the answer.
It's a fair assessment.
So we've got the DeLorean car, we've got the hot tub time machine, we've got the TARDIS.
And so then you could
and something, a time machine which is pretty prosaic, actually.
would this be Goodnight Sweetheart, maybe? It was when he sort of he walked down a road and he went back to the 40s. I think it's sort of more...
So there are a lot of time machines, aren't there, when you think about it in popular culture?
Yeah.
Prosaic time machine.
I'm at a...
Make a call to almost anyone else. This is the clue. Make a call to almost anyone else.
Not E.T. Phone Home.
Phone Home?
No.
You're close.
A phone box?
It's a phone box.
It's just
Yes.
a phone box.
It is indeed an ordinary phone booth, which is employed in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Of course it is, yeah.
In which the high school heroes travel through time to assemble characters for a history presentation. And amongst the historical figures they encounter on their time journey are Joan of Arc, Socrates, Genghis Khan, Freud, and Napoleon.
Yeah,
We got there in the end.
Oh, I failed you, George Carlin.
So we just sum up then what we've got.
Yes, so you go to the police box because that's the shape that the TARDIS took, like due to some sort of space-time error back in the 60s. Then, yes, there was a phone box in San Dimas, which Bill and Ted and Rufus travel through various parts of the world to meet likes of Socrates and Napoleon. Then, yes, they would hitch a ride in 1980 sports car. That's the DeLorean, made in Belfast there, folks. And that was Marty McFly and Doc Brown travelling
Back to
through
the Future.
time. And then, yes, you would enjoy a relaxing soak in a hot tub time machine.
So it's all methods
Wonders
of time
never
travel.
cease.
That is excellent. Well, I think because I had to give you quite a bit of help on that, then it's 3 out of 6. But well done. It was a tricky one. So no turning back time, I'm afraid. That is the end of the show, and I can reveal that the final scores today are 18 points to the Midlands and 20 to Northern Ireland, making Northern Ireland the winners. Well done, everybody, and you have a chance to reverse the result when you meet one another in June. Next week's contest pits the south of England against Scotland, and it'll start with me revealing the solution to this puzzle, which you're welcome to think about in the meantime. Don't write to us because there are no prizes. Can you explain why a Hong Kong-born singer-songwriter, an American grandmother, a king of Sweden and Norway, and the actor Bernard Schwartz might feel especially pleased with themselves? And remember, those questions are always on our website, so do have a look. Join us next time and see if you've got the same answer as we do. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.